The truth about oil change intervals nobody tells you. There's a conversation happening in every oil change bay across America, and most of it is incomplete. Drivers pull in based on the number they half remember from a sticker on their windshield, a neighbor's advice, or something they heard years ago that stuck. And because nobody ever took the time to explain the full picture, they leave still operating on assumptions that may be costing them far more than they realize. Not in money, but in your engine life performance and long-term health of your vehicle that depend on every day. This is not a blog designed to tell you something. It is written because you deserve the truth, the whole truth, and enough context to make a genuine, informed decision about one of the most routine and yet misunderstood aspects of vehicle ownership. So, why does oil change matter more than most people think? Engine oil is not simply a lubricant. It is a dynamic, engineered fluid designed to perform multiple critical functions simultaneously. It lubricates moving parts to reduce metal-on-metal friction. It carries heat away from the components that cannot be cooled by the cooling system alone. It suspends microscopic contaminants, combustion byproducts, metal shavings, and carbon deposit. It holds them in suspension until the filter traps them or the oil is drained. It also contains a chemical additive package designed to condition seals, prevent oxidation, and neutralize acids that form naturally during combustion. Every time your engine fires, it demands something from that oil. Over time and over miles, the oil's ability to do the job diminishes. The additive package degrades. The base oil oxidizes. Contaminants accumulate beyond what the filter can handle. What was once clean, flowing, productive oil slowly becomes something closer to a dark, thick, acidic sludge that works against the very engine it was meant to protect. That's why the oil changes exist. Not because some manufacturers or shop invented them to create reoccurring revenue, but because physics and chemistry demand it. The 3,000 mile change your oil every 3,000 mile myth and why it still holds some truth. For decades, the standard advice was simple: change your oil every 3,000 miles. That number became so embedded in American car culture that it's practically folklore. And depending on your vehicle, how you drive, and what type of oil you're using, it may still be exactly right. Conventional motor oil, refined directly from crude petroleum, has a shorter service life than synthetic oil. Its molecular structure is less uniform. It is more susceptible to thermal breakdown under high heat, and its additive package depletes faster under demanding conditions. Vehicles running conventional oil, especially older engines, vehicles with higher mileage, or drivers who operate under what the industry calls severe duty conditions, a 3,000-mile interval is not overly conservative. It's reasonable, protective standard. Severe duty conditions include more driving situations than most people realize. Short trips under 10 miles where the engine never fully reaches operating temperature. Frequent stop-and-go traffic. Driving in extreme heat, extreme cold, or dusty environments. Towing or hauling loads. Extended idling. If any of these describe your regular driving habits, and for many people living in and around any kind of a big city, even smaller cities. I mean, because the funny part is big cities have got the wonderful freeways, but there's stop and go traffic on them. And if you don't have the wonderful freeways, then you have red lights. So it's funny to me. It doesn't matter really where you live. Almost every car in the United States of America is being driven in severe conditions, period. So synthetic motor oil is engineered at the molecular level. Rather than being refined from crude petroleum, it's chemically constructed to deliver a more consistent molecular profile, greater thermal stability, superior cold temperature flow, and more durable, additive package. The result is the oil that holds up longer under stress and does not break down as quickly as conventional oil under the same conditions. For vehicles designed to run on full synthetic oil and driven under normal highway conditions, an interval around 5,000 miles is a common general guidance. The oil is capable of lasting that long while still providing meaningful protection, assuming the driving conditions are reasonable and the engine is in good health. However, there are variables here that most drivers never hear about, and those variables matter. First, the 5,000-mile guideline for synthetic is not a hard ceiling on performance. It is a conservative estimate built on the assumption of varied driving conditions. A vehicle driven exclusively on long highway mile stretches with clean air and stable temperatures may be able to go further without meaningful oil degradation. A vehicle subject to consistent short trips, extreme heat, or heavy loads may see the synthetic oil degrade faster than expected. Second, the quality of the synthetic oil varies. Not all synthetic oils are created equal. Different formulations, additive packages, and viscosity grades behave differently in different engines. What works perfectly in one vehicle may not deliver the same performance in another. This is not a reason to be anxious. It is a reason to be informed. And then third, your engine's conditions plays a role. The engine with worn seals, a small coolant leak, or accumulating blow-by from worn rings will contaminate oil faster, regardless of whether that oil is conventional or synthetic. A 5,000-mile interval may be appropriate for a healthy engine, but less appropriate for one that needs attention. And then driving conditions are the rear. I mean, it just is. So think about it. Some of the hardest driving you can do is super short trips. And a lot of us have super short trips, a bunch of super short trips. I mean, the grocery store, your church, local restaurants, everything's pretty close by. So your car, we definitely drive a bunch of short trips. Now, I'm not saying that all of it is, you might live a long way from where you work. I mean, but the real variable is your driving conditions. And when an engine is not up to temperature, it has a rich fuel mixture. So until it's brought up to the proper temperature, it's got more gas than air as far as the mixture is concerned. That's why it runs as smooth and easy as it does. So obviously more gas than air and on a continuous basis is not a good thing. And it takes more than a moment for your engine to heat up. I mean, we basically are thinking, we start feeling the temperature, in the winter, we start feeling warmer temperature. Well, the warmer temperature then it's warmer than the, coming out of the vents when we turn the heater on. It's warmer than the surrounding area temperature. So we think that our engine is already up to its real temperature. But temperature is, around 200 degrees. It's not up to 200 degrees yet, So think about that for just a second. We're getting hot if the heater's blowing on us. I don't know about you, but during the winter, I don't want the heater, much past 70. So 70 degrees is way different than 150 or 179 or 183 or 189 or 200 degrees that the engines are running at nowadays, depending on what the thermostat is set up for. So just keep that in mind, that even though it's feeling like it warmed up, it probably is not warmed up all the way, and it's not for a while. And then, of course, the colder the temperature, the longer it's going to take to warm up. That's just the way physics work. And you don't want to push the interval too far. This is where it gets complicated. Sludge is the most commonly discussed result, where oil breaks down and cannot be drained quickly enough. It begins forming thick deposits inside the engine, on the cylinder walls, blah, 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 blah. And it's funny. Oil is good until it's not. Okay? Understand that simple truism. Oil is good until it's not. So do you want to wait until just before, the second before it goes bad? Or do you want to make sure you're catching it well in advance to it going bad so that you don't have to worry about all of the weird stuff that happens inside of your motor and the engine oil all of a sudden turning into sludge? And so it's how long can you actually go? I mean, there's so many variables, it's not even funny. I like the simple premise. Conventional oil is every 3 months, 3,000 miles. And I like the premise of the synthetic oil every 4 months, every 5,000. So think about it. 3 months, 3,000, 4 months, 5,000. The average person is driving 15,000 miles a year. Simple, straightforward. Okay. So if you're driving 15,000 miles a year and you're doing it every 3,000 miles, that's 5 oil changes a year on conventional. And if you're driving, if it's 15,000 miles and you got synthetic, then it's every 4 months, if it's 3 times a year, 3 times 5 is 15,000. So it just tends to make sense. That's why, and it's by time or mileage. And people are like, well, my car just sits there a lot. Well, most cars that sit there a lot are not driven very much, not driven, really far in between times. So that's the hardest driving you can do is not driving. It breaks stuff down like there's no tomorrow, just sitting there. It's not like it's still in the container on the shelf where it hasn't been contaminated at all. But contamination just keeps working. Once it's contaminated, just keeps contaminating. That's the nature of that beast. So when you think about it, you need to get the oil changed on a pretty consistent basis, one way or another. And the relationship that you're going to have between you and your automotive repair shop, it's based on taking care of you. And nobody's trying to rip you off by getting you in earlier. And the new car manufacturers really want you to buy a new car, bluntly. And they want that car to last for a while so that you're not mad at them. But they don't want it to last forever. It's not in their best interest if it lasts forever. Think about it. Refrigerators used to last a long, long, long time. And I don't know about you, but my refrigerators don't last as long as they used to on any level. Well, okay. So is that fair? No. But is it true? Yes. It's the nature of the beast. But the key is to get a vehicle to last without maintaining it properly. This still has to be built pretty good. So think about it. You got a car that's built pretty good and you actually maintain it. Now it's going to last a lot longer. So, and that's what we're after. We're just after you to maintain it and it lasts a lot longer. A lot. And have the best retirement that you can. So stay safe, stay strong.